See, that's the cute family stuff we get upstairs. Hate your kids, hate your mom. That's why we get the kids out of here for that one. Now, large crowds were traveling with Jesus. And he turned to them and said a number of fairly disturbing things, because I suspect that Jesus didn't always love very large crowds. Jesus did not always say things to make people more excited to follow him, to make it seem easier and lighter. He says, "Which of you intending to build a tower does not first sit down and estimate the cost to see whether he has enough to complete it?" Literally everyone, Jesus. I do not think we ever know the cost of anything before we start. It is like a church who wanted to remodel a kitchen. The newcomers promise it's funny. We cannot know when we begin anything what the cost will end up being. Which of the people in that crowd could know that in that tentative walk with Jesus, whatever it was they thought they were searching for, none of them could have known where it would actually end up. Whatever day it is that you first take a piece of bread or a sip of wine from an outstretched cup of promise, you cannot know the cost of where that journey is going to lead you. And I do not know if it is actually the right thing to stop and check the balances that you are carrying. I do not know if it is the right thing to quickly make a budget and make wise and careful choices. I think for the people, this crowd that is following Jesus, probably none of them had enough to pay their own way or finish the tower. Many of them ended that course red-faced and bankrupt and mocked by the people who may have planned their salvation better. And I am with them because I do not know if I have what it takes to answer the question. I do not know if I have what it takes to follow Jesus. I think if we find ourselves in this path, in this crowd, following along up to our eyes in spiritual debt with no real understanding of when the permit will come, I'm terrified of what this tower will cost us. It is also apparently like a war, which I have even less experience with winning. And so maybe we send out these delegations of peace, these admittings of defeat, these ways in which we say, "You're right. I do not have enough, I am not enough, and I may never be enough. Can I stay anyway? If I do not have enough to finish the tower or win the war, where do I fit in this kingdom of God?" And now, Jesus asks, even for our families, our beloveds, our children, our parents, and even our own lives, how do we lay down our love for the people of this world and take up the cross? It is too much. And it is hard, really hard to work any kind of warm, fuzzy family values type spin on this. And as a pregnant mother, texts like this can feel even more foreign. And so I was hoping maybe it was just a case of bad translation, that my sweet Jesus would never say such a thing. Hate your family? No. So I checked the Greek, but you know what? That is exactly what he is saying here. The best I found was like not to prefer or to slightly discount, but it doesn't help. We are all shaped and formed by our families for better and for worse. And while there is no such thing as a family being done perfectly, I hope that what Jesus is saying is that we cannot count on our identity coming from our family. We learn many lessons as we are growing up about who we are and where we belong in this world. Our families of origin shape the boundaries of what we consider possible and impossible, what we think we are capable of, what we think our budget is for towers. To disregard our family is in some ways to abandon our identities. What we are being asked to lay down then is who we think we are. This psalm this morning tells us that love already knows exactly who we are, because love formed us in the womb. Love made us in darkness and in soft, secret places. And if we believed that, if we actually believed it with all of our heart and mind and strength, I do not know if we would be more or less able to stay in that crowd following along behind Jesus, all the way to Jerusalem, all the way to the cross that we are asked to carry as well. All of our insecurities about our true identity anchor us in the shallow water of just agreeing with Jesus and saying that these are nice things to ask. We use our insecurities and our certainties to say, I do not want to go out into the deep and the wild water of wherever it is that Jesus is calling. We may long to plunge in over our heads and strike out after this God, but we have to let go of the shore to swim. Jesus says we have to let go of who we have been to become who we are called to be. And maybe also imagine a new way of seeing our family. Paul, in this delightfully snarky letter to Philemon this morning, talks about a slave and fellow prisoners who have become his true family, his brothers and his son. His family becomes those who share in the work of the daily life with him. And if anybody knows what a tower costs, it's Paul. And he says to Philemon, forgive, set free, liberate, because you're a Christian. And that's what we do. You're always on the side of liberation and freedom, not counting what is owed to us, but counting what we can give this world. You're in God's family now, says Paul. And this family brings with it a completely new identity. In this family, we are called to become translucent, so that the love of God can shine through us and help illuminate the world. And who but a fool would agree to that? Who in that crowd stands with him still after he says that you have to give up absolutely everything, even the ability to possess things, to follow Jesus? That is the invitation. Give up possessing people and things, give up the tower, give up the war, give up where you came from, give up who you think you are, give up being important and admired, and set it all down. Set everything down and follow love. Amen.